Good afternoon, or is it good morning, boys and girls? Welcome to a Saturday here in Djuma in the Sabi Sands, and we have got a leopard in the tree. But first of all, let's get the pleasantries out of the way. My name is Steve Falconbridge. Welcome this afternoon. Please jump on board and let us know through your parents. Send through some questions with your parents to Nat Geo Kids at wildebeest.tv. Let us know what you'd like to talk about this afternoon. And on that note, I'm joined by Craig on camera. It is a beautiful day here in South Africa, nice and cool in the afternoon, and we've got one leopard in the tree. A second leopard is not in the tree, but a little bit further away. Craig will show you quickly. There's another leopard sleeping under the tree. And this is a father and son. And then a third surprise, it's just put its head up, just off to the left-hand side over here, is a hyena. There it is. If you've seen The Lion King, you've probably seen the hyenas in The Lion King, and they are very naughty. And this hyena is hoping to get some food. These leopards had some meat at some stage, but it's all finished. They like to eat meat, hyenas and leopards. You can see he's enjoying sitting out in the sunshine because it's quite a cool afternoon here in the Sabi Sands. It's about it's about 61 degrees Fahrenheit. It's really nice and cool. Not too much going on with regards to warmth. We're all a little bit rugged up, and the hyena is enjoying the sunshine. And talking about animals that hyena and leopards like to catch, I am joined out in the bush by a friend who has found a marvelous impala.
There are some marvellous impalas, everybody, and welcome to this end of our very special Nat Geo Kids drive here. My name is James Hendry. Sebastian Rombi is on camera today, and it's marvellous to have you all with us. Please, of course, send your questions to natgeokids at wildebeest.tv. Get your parents to send questions to natgeokids at wildebeest.tv, and we'd love to answer any questions that you might have. Let's look at these impala. And those animals that you've been seeing around that waterhole have been eating impala actually over the last few days, and that's probably why the impala drinking at this waterhole and not at the one that is on the other side. It's not far from where we are here, but this is the most common antelope that we get here, and you know everything likes to eat impala. Hyenas, leopards, lions, wild dogs, cheetahs, all of them think that impala are a tasty meal. For me, the most special thing about impala is that in December, they're all going to give birth. And it's so sweet to watch the little baby lambs running around here when the first rains come and they turn all of what looks like a very brown landscape here, they turn it bright green. And that's when the little ones are born. So these chaps probably weigh in the region of about 100 pounds odd. Tristan's found something that weighs much less.
Indeed it does, James, because this is the smallest antelope that we get out here. It's called a little Steinbach, which is a type of antelope that occurs in these areas, and you'll find that this little guy probably only weighs in the region of about 10 to 15 pounds. It's a very, very small little animal. They don't move around. Well, they're very difficult to actually find a lot of the time, and this little particular one is doing something that's going to be very interesting. You see, look what it's doing with its front foot. You see that? Now that's very interesting, because what it's doing is it went to the toilet and then it's covering it up now with a bit of dust and soil. And the reason it's covering it up is because these little guys are territorial. Now what that means is that they live in the same place. It's like you have a home, and these guys are the exact same. They have their little house that they go to all the time. And the problem with that is things like leopards, like Steve has, they then can smell where these little Steinbach went to the toilet, and they can then find them. So they have to cover it up so that it hides the scent, and it makes it much more difficult for the leopards to find them. It also makes the scent last a lot longer and the smell last a lot longer, so that if any other little Steinbach come there, they know that they're going into somebody else's house. So very, very clever. Now, as James mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on a camera I've got David, which is very, very good, and it's a very warm welcome to all of you, and I hope that you're going to have the most wonderful time with us this afternoon. Our plan is that we're going to head to the east. We're going to try and head to a really big waterhole, and hopefully we'll have lots of animals that are going to come down to drink. It's a nice warm afternoon, and so it should be a really good place to find some of our bigger things like elephants and hippos and those kind of things. So hopefully we'll get lucky with those. Now, I'm one of 3 that you have already met, and you still yet to meet our 4th member, who is not in a vehicle but is walking around on his own 2 legs.
Well, hello and welcome to all the kids once again. We are coming to you live from out on foot here in the Djuma Traverse of the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa, and we're watching a squirrel that is a little bit irritated with something down there in the bush, and in a minute I think we should go and investigate and see exactly what he's got a problem with, because look how his tail's going up and down. Now, I just want to tell you that my name is Ralph, and Fergus is helping me with the camera today, and he's going to help me find all sorts of animals. Now, don't forget to send us your questions through your parents on the Nat Geo Kids at wildebeest.tv, because we want to know what you want to know. But I want to know right now, what is that squirrel trying to tell us? I think we should go and have a look. What do you think? Let's go. Come on. I wonder what he's looking at, because he's quite irritated and he's looking down on the ground. So I'm wondering if he hasn't spotted something there in the bushes. Maybe it's a snake, maybe it's something a little bit bigger than that. I wonder. He will normally get irritated like that if it's maybe a predator, but I'm not scared of predators. I'm going to just walk up here and see if we can spot it. We'll just go a little bit slowly, because that squirrel is telling us that he's down on the ground here somewhere. So we just need to be a little bit careful, just to go here slowly in this long grass. What are you looking at, Mr. Squirrel? Eh? He's got a problem with something just down here, and he's really telling us that he wants our help. So we're going to come and help him. But when we get close to the squirrel, I think he's going to run away, and that's what he's done. So let's just come in here and go very slowly, because if it is a snake, I want to be just a little bit careful. But we'll just move through here. Maybe he's just giving us a false alarm. You know what they say about crying wolf. So I think we're just going to move through here slowly and look and see if we can find something exciting for you. Okay, but we're going to be very careful, and while we're doing that, I want to send you back to James.
Well, it's not James. James is much shorter and probably a lot better spoken than I am, but you're with me, and as you can see right in the distance is a very, very beautiful bird. Now, there's lots and lots of types of birds here in South Africa. We're very lucky that we see a lot of different birds, but this is one of my favorite birds that we see. It's called an African hawk eagle, and the reason that we know it's an African hawk eagle is because you see that when it's sitting there, it's got a very white chest, and on that white chest are little black spots and stripes and markings, and then a little black head, and so that's how we know it's an African hawk eagle. Now, generally you will see 2 together. It's very strange that there's only 1. They normally are in a pair together, so they're like a mom and dad that's lived together forever, and they will always be around one another. And interestingly enough with them is that they will actually sometimes even hunt. So you'll have a situation where they'll use each other to hunt. So normally birds of prey, like these guys, will hunt by themselves, and they'll fly in and they'll grab a type of bird, so maybe like a francolin or a guinea fowl or something like that, which is much like your partridges. And what they do is then they can grab it and go up and feed off it. But with these guys, what's very different is that the male and female will help each other. So one will come down and it will swoop down and try and disturb those birds that live on the ground. And as the birds fly up, the other one swoops in and grabs one. So it's a very interesting way that they hunt. It's very different to a lot of our other birds. And it's just one of my favorites because of how pretty it is. It's a very, very beautiful bird. Now, there it looks quite difficult to see it, but I have a picture of it so that I can show you guys a little bit better what they look like. So There you can see there is the striping that I was talking about, the black head and the black wings that are over there, and then that very, very white leg area. Absolutely beautiful bird. So we see a lot of them in these areas, and like I say, are quite a common eagle for us to see. Good. We're going to try and see if we can maybe get a little bit closer. We'll try and look out for the other one, because there should be two of them here, and we'll just have a little look. If we get round this thicket, maybe we'll be able to spot the other one in one of the trees nearby. The only problem is generally they fly away if you get too close. They don't sit for very long, these guys. Anyway, well, we're going to look for the other one. We're going to try and see if we can find it. While we do that, let's send you over to Steve, who's got another predator of his own.
Yes, well, how wonderful, Tristan. That is such a magnificent bird to see, and you're so correct in saying they hunt in a pair. Hopefully you can find the husband or wife, whatever it is. But here we have got a big male leopard that was looking at us a moment ago, and he's now turned his head the other way. Look at those enormous feet. He's got all the spots, and he's up in the tree. Oh, is he going to move? No, he just repositioned his head. He is very, very full, boys and girls. He ate a lot of meat. Look at that belly. It's very full. His tail is hanging. Yes, he's breathing quite heavily because he's got so much food in his stomach. It's actually causing his chest to be smaller, to push up on his lungs. So he's breathing heavy because there's too much food inside of his stomach. And that is what leopards like to do because of hyenas that hang around on the ground. If they do get some food, they like to take it up into a tree like this one. First of all, it's nice and shady up there, and second of all, they can eat as slowly and as they want to. There's no rush. But if they're on the ground, within moments, it can be snapped up and taken away by a hyena. Wasana just moved there, the other youngster. The youngster there, he moved, but he just curled up a little bit. Now, it's very strange behavior. This is actually the son that we're looking at, and it's the father up in the tree. And to see this kind of behavior is not 100% normal. You know, we do see it from time to time, but what has happened is the young leopard there that we can see, he's 2.5 years old. He caught some food. It was impala that James showed you. He took it up this tree, and then his dad came along and stole it from him. How rude, don't you think? Normally it's the father who provides the food for the son, not the other way around. What would you all do if your dad came and took your food from you? It's not very nice, is it, Dad? No. That's what happens out here in the wilderness. The bigger and stronger animals will always take what they want. And you've either got to suck up and deal with it, or fight back. That is how it works in the animal kingdom. The strongest will survive. And when it comes to predators, it's all about being strong. Well, it seems like predators are on the menu this afternoon. James has found another one in the tree.
This is a very special predator, and it is called an African. It's not like a normal hawk which catches birds flying around in the air. This particular one, you can see it's got very long legs, sticks them into the holes of trees where little baby birds might be living, and basically it catches baby birds. So, you know, this isn't my favourite bird in the world, but while it's not very nice that it has to kill things to survive, it does have to survive. We all eat meat, of course, or many of us eat meat, and so it's just the same kind of thing. But look at those very long legs. And you can see, even though it's a very big bird, it's very good at moving around nimbly amongst the branches of this tree. And like I say, what it's looking for is holes in the wood where birds might be nesting. Now, it won't only eat that sort of thing, because birds normally nest in the summertime, and of course we sitting here in South Africa are in the middle of winter, and so it will also eat lizards and perhaps the odd worm or grub that it finds in the bark or underneath the bark. There you can see. Look at it hanging on its legs there. Isn't that wonderful? It's also got another name other than the African harrier hawk, and this is a really nice name. The name is gymnogene. I'm not sure why it's called gymnogene. I don't even know what that means. But it's a nice name. And there it goes. There we go. Obviously not enough for it to eat on the other tree. And look how it finds the path. When they are broken, they will rot inside, probably because of some sort of fungus. And what that fungus will do is allow birds like woodpeckers or barbets to create nesting holes, and also it will allow beetles and wood-boring wasps, for example, or bees, to open up holes, lay their eggs, and that's where this little fellow will be finding its grubs and worms and insects to eat. Also, he might find lizards underneath the bark. Yes, Paula, he does look massive, and he is massive. He's probably about 2.5 feet tall, maybe 2 feet tall. He's got his legs stuck. No, he's okay now. He's got it unstuck. I don't know how he managed that. I'll tell you exactly how tall he is now. But I think he's about 2.5 feet tall. And I say that that's a young one. He's only 2 feet tall. Yeah, 2 feet tall. Ah, well, that's interesting. So apparently, gymnogene means bare chin. So no hair or no hair or feathers on the chin. And that's from Latin, which is a language not many people can speak anymore. That's what it means. And when it's older, it will have no feathers on its face. You may have seen that one doesn't have much feathering on its face. And it'll have a yellow face, and its feathers will be completely grey, so not brown like they are now. So that was the gymnogene, or African harrier hawk. Let's continue. Our plan, hopefully, is to continue searching for our wonderful leopards that we have over here. We haven't had any tracks or footprints just yet, but it's a gloriously beautiful afternoon, and hopefully we will enjoy, regardless of what we find.
Well, kids, I think that little squirrel, he was actually getting very angry because there was a little owl flying around. And look, he's flown up into the tree. But this is a very, very small little owl, and he's called a pearl-spotted owlet, and he hunts little birds and maybe even baby squirrels. And maybe that's why that squirrel was making so much noise, because he didn't want this little owl around. And so the owl flew off and went up into a tree, and so now we can look at him. And look how pretty he is. He's got all those little white dots on the back of his feathers, but he's facing away from us, and he's pretending that he can't see us, so that he hopes that we don't see him. But if he does turn his head around, you'll see that he's got very yellow eyes. But maybe he's just trying to be camouflaged in the tree there. He is very camouflaged, isn't he? If we didn't know what we were talking about, we wouldn't even see him, and we'll walk right underneath him without even knowing. But you see, owls, they normally sleep during the day, and then they fly around at night. So the little squirrel has also disturbed his sleep. But now we aren't disturbing him, we're just watching him, and he is a pretty little owl, isn't he? Betty, I'm glad that this is the first time you've seen one of these. And, well, we do see quite a few of them, but it's very difficult to have them sit still. So we're very lucky that this one is staying still for us right now. And he is quite pretty. I just wish he would turn his head around and have a look at us so that we could see his eyes. But he is so camouflaged, it's really difficult. You do need to use your binoculars, or like we've got with the camera, the big zoom, to go in nice and close, so we can see him nice and clearly. He is a very, very cool little owl. And that little owl, all the little birds get very scared of him because he gets quite ferocious. Even though he's small, he's still quite a very good hunter, I must say. Maybe let's try and go a little bit closer, and maybe then he'll turn and look at us. Now, Paula, they are able to turn their heads around because they've got a little bit more of a hinging neck. So they can turn it pretty much all the way around to the back one way. They can't go all the way around, but what they can do is they can turn it a little bit further than we can, because I can only go to there, but they can go a little bit further. But let's see if he'll do that for us. I think he's still just looking the other way. If we are lucky, he'll turn and look at us. And I'll just use my binoculars to keep checking. And he's still there, yes he is. Let's go a little bit closer. Just try and get him to turn his head towards us. Hello, little bird. Very cute, isn't he? Jill, thanks for your comment. You say this is such a hoot. Well, absolutely. I think there he did have his head turned a minute ago, but it's very quick. And you see he's actually got markings on the back of his head that make it look like he's got eyes on the back of his head as well. So even though he's looking forward, it looks like he's looking backwards as well. Almost like he's got 4 eyes. There we go, he's turned around. He is such a pretty little bird. Wow! We're very lucky because it's not so easy to get close to these birds, and they normally fly off. But this one's letting us get quite close to him. Maybe he's a little bit tired because the squirrel was irritating him. Yeah, naughty squirrel. But the squirrel also needs to survive, so he's just looking after himself. But if it wasn't for the squirrel, we wouldn't have found the owl. All right. I think we're going to leave the owl alone now and carry on our way. But in the meantime, I'll send you off to Steve, who's also got something in a tree.
It seems to be predators in the trees today, boys and girls, and now this beautiful young gentleman, or shall I say old gentleman, has decided to show you his face. Oh, and there it's gone. This is Tingana, the reigning Duke of Djuma, where we are here in the Sabi Sands. He's the dominant male leopard, and he is doing exactly what he wants to do. And in this time of day, it's very lazy, sitting up in the tree, a belly full of meat. There's nothing really to do but to just relax. He's finding it very difficult to get comfortable. With an enormous amount of meat in the belly, he can't quite find the nice, comfortable spot. He's in a tree, not on a comfortable bed like you and I would like to use when we are very full and tired. But he doesn't want to go down the tree for some reason, and hopefully we'll get him going down. I think he might just not have the energy right now. There you can see his beautiful face. He is a beautiful leopard. He's about 12 and a half years old, which is pretty old for a leopard. And when we get another look at his son, we'll show you how beautiful his son is. His son is only 2.5. He's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, he's up. What's he going to do? He's going to move across the branch. He's probably going to turn around. He's finding it very difficult and quite delicate up there. And he's probably going to come down. Are you? There we go. You can see by the sort of intention in his eyes. I want to go down, but I'm a little bit lazy. He's looking towards a watering hole. Maybe he's gotten so thirsty it's time to go quench that thirst. You can see by his eyes that that is the intention. So we're going to stay right here and hopefully... Okay, he's just repositioning himself. That's far more comfortable. Far more comfortable. One step at a time. One step at a time. Not too quickly. Julie, yes indeed, he's in a food coma. You know, when you're so full you can't even move. You can't even sleep, you're so full. Well, that's what he's doing. He's panting. See how the tongue is popping out? Well, he is looking in the distance for the watering hole, and hopefully he'll come down. But if he does, we'll come right back to us. But let's go to James, who's found another bird.
I'm afraid a bird has flown away. But that's what birds do, you see. They don't always stick around. Let's see if we can find you another bird. There are lots of birds here. More than 250 you can at Juma. Which is a lot of in that. So that birds is more number of, and in the whole of the United States, quite something. Not very good signal. Let's go to Tristan.
Well, James, there are lots of birds here, and it's even not our best time for birds because our summer months we actually see lots more birds than we do in our winter months. Now, I am very excited because I've found something very, very interesting that I want to show all of you. Now, David, I'm going to try and see if you can get that for me. It's going to be quite difficult. I'll jump out so I can help you, David, and show you what we're looking at. But you'll see there that I've made a big circle around a little footprint. Now, that footprint is made by a leopard, and so it's a situation where we're going to hopefully maybe find this leopard. Now, I know that Steve has got 2 leopards there, but what I've got over here is also 2 leopards. I've got a situation where I've got a mom and her baby, and so if we have a look in the circle, I've made a big circle like this. Here is the actual footprint where this branch is sort of pointing. So at the back here we've got 3 lobes, which indicates a cat, and then we've got toes that go forward with no claws. Now, this particular track, if I put my hand next to it, is not very big. All right, it's quite small. That's how I know that it is a female, and this is actually the daughter. So this is the small female that's around 9 months old, and she's got the smaller foot, and her mom has walked into this area a little bit before. So her mom is slightly bigger than this, but not by much. They're quite close, and it's really exciting because this is my favorite little female leopard, my favorite mommy leopard, and so I'm hoping that we can find her. I'm just going to check around quickly. We're going to go onto a road that goes onto the other side and see if they came out. Otherwise, they might be inside here, and that's very, very exciting stuff for us. Right, so I need to plug myself back in before we head off and try and see if we can find these 2. But they walked down the road. It looks like they walked down the road here early this morning, or maybe even during the course of today, which is quite exciting. So hopefully we're going to find them. Now, when you're tracking leopards like this, it's always important to try and look at the tracks and see if you can get any clues as to how old the tracks are. So you look for any signs of birds that maybe have walked over, any animals that are active at night, like hyenas or genets or civets, which are all animals that only walk at night. And so if you see the tracks on top of those, then you know that these tracks are good and that they're from during the day. If those are on top, then you know it's from early in the night or yesterday, and then not maybe as good to follow and try and find. But let's see, maybe we'll get lucky and they'll come out this side. She kind of cuts northwards, and inside here is quite a thick area. She likes this area because it's a great place for her to hide her little baby. Even though the little baby is 9 months old, it still has to rely on mom. It still has a situation where it needs its mom to survive, so it needs mom to be able to hunt for it and find food for it. And obviously when it hunts and finds food, that means that it's very dangerous because the little cub gets left on its own. And so mom will find thick areas like this where she can be able to hide the little baby and make sure that that little one stays nice and safe. So it's a very good section for them to be in, that's for sure. Right, now I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to see what I can find, and while I do that, let's send you back across to Ralph, who has managed to find something of his own already.
Well, we've found one of the most exciting things out here in the South African bush, and it's a termite mound. Wow, look at this. Now, what do you think came first? Was it the termite mound or was it the tree? Because this tree is now growing out of this termite mound, and the termites, they're all on the inside there. So what do you think happened? Do you think the tree was growing here, and then the termites made their mound around it? Or do you think the termite mound was there, and the tree grew out of it? That's very interesting. Which one do you think it might be? Now, these little termites, they build this like their chimney because they've got a mushroom that they have underneath the ground that helps them to digest the grass that they eat. And this is a big chimney that lets out all the hot air from the mushrooms that they grow. And now this tree will grow nicely here, especially in winter, because it will be nice and warm on the inside there. And, well, there's also lots of other animals that like to be around a termite mound, like the little dwarf mongoose, and also the aardvark and jackals and even hyenas. They like to sit on the termite mound because it keeps their bum nice and warm in winter. And so I also use the termite mound sometimes. When it's very cold, I'll stop next to one of these and warm my hands up because it gets very warm around here. But there's also lots of thorns on this tree that's growing here. But you see the little leaves that we have here as well? These are the kinds of leaves that giraffe like to eat as well. And all sorts of other little animals, like the impala that you've maybe already seen. Those are antelope and nyala. They also like to eat that, as well as kudu. Wow, we've got so many animals out here. Can you say all of those? Impala, nyala, kudu, giraffe. There's just too many to remember all at once, isn't there? But I still want to know which one came first, the tree or the termite mound. Now, while you're thinking about that, I want to see, there were a couple of little birds running around here now, and I just think that they've disappeared down into a little burrow. Now, Alda, you say tree first. Well, that's a very good angle because I think these termites then maybe at the bottom where the tree was growing, maybe the soil was a little bit soft, and then they started a little mound just like that, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. But remember that these termites, they work together as a team, and everybody has their little job. And we have the workers and the soldiers. And what are the soldiers for? Therefore, if any animals come to eat the termites, they all band together and start to fight to get rid of the problem. And the workers, they all work to build the big nest. And they take little pieces of sand and they mix it together with their saliva or their spit. And then they just put it on there. And just think how many termites it took to build this. Now, I'm not saying that you're right, but I still think that maybe the termite mound was here first, and then maybe a little animal came along and he pooed on the termite mound, and in that poo was a little seed. And then the seed grew out of the termite mound. Maybe that's the way it happened. All right, so this termite mound is so useful to so many animals out here. I think it's one of the most important things. But there's one animal that also likes to go inside a termite mound, and that's a hyena.
Well, yes, indeed, Ralph. Hyenas like to dig into the side of termite mounds where they'll go and have their babies. And obviously that's where the babies will spend their time. They can be free from competition and other predators such as lion and leopard and even something else that might come for them, which would be other hyenas from time to time. But they dig in to keep nice and away from other predators. But this hyena could probably still smell that there was something here earlier today, and it's just too lazy to go away. They like to follow leopards around to pick up the scraps that they have. What do you think, boys and girls? Is it a beautiful animal? Or isn't it? Let your parents send through some comments through there to the email address, natgeokids@wildearth.tv. Let us know what you think. Just hang on a second. Someone's coming to join me. Lex for Steve. Yeah, Lex, Tingana's still up in the tree. You can get good access on the dam wall. And then Hosanna's just lying up on the island just here between you and me. There's one hyena in front of me. I'm going to be moving soon. So we're out here on game drive, and there are other vehicles out as well from the lodges that like to come and see these animals. So we use a very nice radio so that we can talk with them, and we can increase the area that we move around so that we can find lots of animals. Because if we don't use the radio, it's all a lot of dumb luck trying to find animals. Okay, well, it seems like we're having an absolute blast on safari this afternoon, and James has found another very big and special animal.
We found a big animal with its baby. This is an elephant, obviously, and its youngster, which is probably about, I'm going to say 1.5 to 2 years old, and they're just feeding quietly. Difficult in winter for the animals to find enough to eat, especially something as big as an elephant. Aren't they beautiful? And there are quite a few of them. It's not just the mum and her baby. There are others as well. Now, I think they're probably going to come towards us, so we'll probably just wait here and see if they do. And they're just trying to find enough to eat. Now, a big cow like that, and that's what we call a female elephant, a cow, she's probably, I would say, about 12 to 15, no, she's more than that. She's probably about 20 years old, maybe a little bit younger. And she probably eats in the region, wait for it, probably 350 pounds of food every day. So she's a greedy guts. But she has to be a greedy guts if she's going to keep her huge body going. And of course, elephants have to eat only leaves and bark and twigs and that sort of thing. But it's quite difficult to digest those sorts of things. And so, well, you've got to eat quite a lot in order to survive if that's all you eat. Now, we're not going to move from here for two reasons. One, our car's broken down. Two, is that we're hoping they're going to come towards us. And then we'll get a lovely close sighting. What we don't want to do is drive towards them and make them afraid. Now, there's something quite interesting going on here. The two little ones are going to have a little fight, because that's what they do. They're just like human children. You know, like you like to have a bit of argy-bargy on the playground from time to time. Well, that's what they're doing. They're just having a little bit of a wrestle. Now they're coming slowly closer. That looks like a young bull to me, so a young male. No, it isn't. That's the mother, very young mother of the smallest calf. She's not old at all. She's very young to have a baby. Probably her first baby. Isn't that sweet? Here they come, slowly closer to us. And they might even stop and feed right in front of us, which would be very exciting. There we go. Now they're just thinking, do we cross the road in front of this car? And they're smelling us, turning their trunks toward us, and just having a sniff to see if we smell funny, which of course we do. In this vehicle we smell like oil and gasoline and brake fluid. Go, just giving us a little bit of a warning, as if to say, no, you wait there. I don't really want to have much to do with you. Now watch the little one. The little ones sometimes like to play with us. That's why they stick their ears out like that. And Jill, you say you love elephants. Well, here they are. There are lots and lots in the Kruger National Park, which is the area that we're in. Beautiful stuff. And they're very calm, very peaceful, you can see. And being around elephants, everybody, makes me feel very peaceful. Makes me feel relaxed and happy. Because they're generally so peaceful with us. Obviously, you don't want to have a situation where you make an elephant upset, because then, well, it can be quite nasty. But these elephants aren't upset at all. They're very happy with us. I'm sure that cow and her baby will come across this way. So we'll wait here a little while longer, see if we can start the car. And Tristan's got another interesting antelope for you.
I do indeed, and they are doing a very interesting thing. So these guys are called nyala, and they are one of our medium-sized antelope. They are quite big and puffy, as you can see, and these are both boys that are together. And the reason why they're all puffy, and the one's got its tail up, look at that, you see its tail is all up, and it's got its hair standing on end. Well, that's all to try and make each other look bigger. And so what they're doing is they're walking side by side, and they are trying to size one another up. And so I know if you've ever been on the playground, you'll see sometimes the boys will walk and they'll have their chest out and they'll try and make themselves look as big as possible. And well, it's the same thing with these guys, is that they're trying to intimidate one another. So they're trying to make the other one scared of it, and to show the other one that I'm bigger and stronger, so don't try and challenge me. And so the hair that goes up on their body actually makes their body appear about 30% bigger than it really is. And so they do this, and they'll go through this dance where each one will walk around each other, and they slowly but surely move in this kind of circle, and eventually one will realize, well, I'm not as big as that one, and he'll then leave that one to be the dominant male, or to be the male that will be able to go and get the girls. And so it's a very, very, very clever way to do it, because if you look at these guys, they have very big horns. So if they were to actually fight and to try and lock horns and push each other around, you're going to find a situation where those horns are going to stab each other, and they're probably going to do a lot of damage and hurt one another. And obviously they're not trying to hurt each other, they're only just trying to establish who is the bigger one. And so it makes much more sense to lift one's hair and to make the hair stand up and appear a lot bigger than it does to try and stab one another. So it's a very clever system, and the nyala will do this for anywhere from 2-3 minutes all the way up to over an hour. You can see them moving around side by side like this. Now that one is just having a bit of a grooming session. They have very, very good teeth with little ridges on them like a comb, and they'll run it through their fur to keep their fur in nice, good condition. So not only do you have to make the other males jealous by making your fur stand up, but you also have to make it nice and clean, so that the ladies think that your coat is very, very clean, and that they are not offended by your dirty coat. Very, very cool to see, though. It's one of my favorite things that we get to watch out here in terms of antelope behavior, because a lot of the antelopes will clash their horns, but these guys have a very civil, very prim and proper way of being able to deal with one another. Not so easy, though, to get around all the branches with those horns, so you'll find sometimes they get a little bit caught out. Now what you'll see is when they move, the movement triggers them often to lift their hair up, and so you see they're going to start kind of lifting the hair, the one especially at the back. Now this one here, we might see its tail start to curl round, and to see the hair actually getting a little bit bigger and fluffier, although the other male is quite far away now, so I think maybe he's realized he doesn't have to worry too much. But how cool is that? Very, very cool to see. Well, we're going to leave these guys to themselves. This one is very obscured behind the termite mound, so I'm going to try and see if I can find this female leopard and her baby. While I do that, let's send you back across to somebody who already has a leopard this afternoon.
Well, we have more than one leopard. We have got two. And here we have come down into the depression to have a look at the beautiful young Hosanna, which basically means little chief, because his dad is the Duke. He is essentially the reigning, the heir to the throne, as you will. And he is very disinterested in life right now. He's having a very nice nap. Hopefully he's going to put his head up and show you all what a beautiful individual he is. He is a very, very handsome young man. But he seems to be having a bit of a dream. Look at that. Well, if he's dreaming of catching impala, feasting on Steinbach. I always laugh when I see pets at home having a little bit of a dream. I always wonder what's going on in their head. He is fast asleep. Beautiful. It's definitely been a beautiful afternoon of raptors and predators. They are very important in the ecosystem. The predators are always selecting the weak out of the population. And it's all very important for the balance. Might sound quite crazy that predators are removing animals from the population and somehow that makes it healthy, but that's exactly what it's all about. Take the diseased and the weak and the old away, and it's just the strong always that move forward, as we were talking about before, with the leopards being strong. If they're not able to keep up with it, they move out of the system, they get removed.
Well, I don't know what was going on there. I think there might be some gremlins attacking around, but, well, there's no gremlins where we are. But what we've found here is a lovely, nice, big Marula tree. And at the moment, there's no leaves on it, and there's no fruit either. Why? Because it's winter. So, these are still trees, even in winter, that the animals can feed on. And how do they do that? Well, in winter, it's the elephants that come by, and they'll push their tusks into the side of the bark, and then they'll open it up, and they eat the bark. But look what happens. Eventually, the tree then really heals itself. But it also helps the little ants and things. And look here at the moment, there's lots of ants moving up and down. And because the elephants have opened this up a little bit, it seems like then the ants are making a little nest in here. And I wonder what they're carrying there. It looks like it might be their little eggs or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but there's lots of them around, isn't there? And they're all going up this tree. And this kind of tree is perfect for little ants to live in, and it's also perfect for leopards to go up and hide their food and also sleep in. But you see how these little ants are really busy at work, and the ants are quite similar to the termites that I was showing you earlier. But I really wonder what they've got there. Have they been hunting just like the leopards might have been? Maybe they went and found themselves some food. Maybe they even attacked some termites. And that's what they're carrying. I don't know. What are you up to, ants? There's all sorts that they're carrying there. Hey, it looks like food to me. But I'm not quite sure. All right, so from these tiny little creatures to something huge.
Well, we're sitting here with a character for Safari Live called Scuba Steve. Now, if you join us every week at the same time, you'll probably get an update on Scuba Steve. Now, Scuba Steve is a very lonely fellow because he lives all on his own here in this waterhole. And you can see he's moving around now, which is quite unusual for Steve. He is quite possibly the laziest hippopotamus in the world. Now you can see he's going to sleep, because the world he finds very difficult to live in. He finds it very tiring. He's an enormous animal that weighs probably in the region of 5,000 pounds, if you can believe it. Isn't that massive? Anyway, Scuba Steve, sitting there, falling asleep, being particularly boring, is not the only creature here at the waterhole. We also have a lovely bird fishing, a fishing bird. It's a heron. There we are, known as a grey heron, which is a bit of a silly name because it's grey and black and white and it's got a yellow beak. And what he's waiting to do there is to feel a fish swim past his foot. And when he does that, he'll peck down with his very fast beak. There we go. Did he catch one? No, I think he just maybe had a bit of a drink. Yeah, he's just making sure his beak is clean. Oh, I think he's actually had a bit of a bath. Now, I haven't seen fish in this particular waterhole for a long time, and that's because it dried out completely about 2 years ago. And I'm not sure the fish have returned. We think that fish come in the droppings of birds, for example. So if that bird was to eat fish, perhaps a female that was carrying eggs, then, well, maybe those eggs would come out in her droppings and they would land here in the water. It's not only fish that live in the water here. We also have a very special animal called a terrapin. And if we look sort of just below where we are, there we go, there are some terrapins. They look like little turtles. They're freshwater turtles that live here. And that particular one is called the Serrated Hinged terrapin. See? Look at his head sticking out the water. That's because he can't breathe underwater. He must breathe air, like us, but he can hold his breath for longer than we can. There he goes, under the water. There are lots of them all over the place. Oh, there's one out of the water. That's Scuba's friend, Timothy the terrapin. I'm joking. Scuba doesn't really have a friend called Timothy the terrapin. But you can call that terrapin anything you like. Tiffany, perhaps. Yes, Robin indeed. Robin has obviously watched Steve before, and she says even the terrapins are avoiding poor old Steve. Steve used to have a girlfriend, everyone. Her name was Sarah, but he's so boring that she left him. You can see he doesn't look very sad about it, though. All right, let's go back to a Steve who isn't quite as boring as Scuba Steve.
Not as boring at all. The hyenas come running underneath the tree because Tingana stood up, the male who was in the tree, and he started having a poo. Right there in the tree. And the hyena got quite excited, thinking there was maybe some food for them to eat. And I was very interested in his poo, though. Where's he going? He's going all the way out onto the end of the branch to turn around. Is that what you're doing, sir? Okay. Very delicate. A very delicate process, being a fat leopard. Not fat as in he's fat, just he's full and full of meat. That was rather disgusting, Tingana, I must say. I've never seen that before. Have you, Craig? Just goes to show how lazy he is. Wonder if he's going to come down. He's probably going to think about it for a while. What is of interest, Craig, is this hyena that's here. I don't know if you can see. He's got a couple wounds on the bottom. Just can't see it. It's going to move, and you'll see some bite marks on the bum. Hyenas compete with each other within their little family. They hunt as a family, and they have different levels in the family. There you can see the wound. And it's a very characteristic area to be bitten by hyenas. It's right on the bum as they're trying to submit themselves and move away. I'm just watching Tingana as well. Everything's happening now. The hyena have moved in. Tingana might come down. Hosana's head is up. There's just so many things to talk about. I don't know which one we're going to look at first. Tingana's still standing there. He's probably going to think about coming down shortly. Now he's having a pee on the hyena's face. That is... You are watching some really gross stuff here, folks. Boys and girls, I'm sorry to show you this. But the leopard just had a wee on the hyena's face, which is very interesting. You might hear the voices of other people. They've come in to join us, other people who've come out on safari. Tingana, what are you doing? Everybody's laughing. They think this is the funniest thing ever. He is pooing from the tree. He's peeing from the tree. He really doesn't want to come down. And that hyena got it right in the face. And what's very funny, boys and girls, is that leopard urine actually smells like popcorn. Can you believe it? Smells like popcorn? I don't think it tastes like popcorn, though. It definitely smells like it. We're probably going to get a waft of it just now as it settles on the ground and starts blowing towards us. He's probably going to lie down now. His business is done. Yes, it is. You disgusting fellow, you. Okay. Well, Craigo, Hosana's head is up. We can show the boys and girls a beautiful face now of my favourite leopard. Not my face. That face over there. He's busy looking at these hyena. Because being on the ground like this, he is sort of at risk of them attacking him. So he needs to keep his distance. They don't have any reason to come too close because he doesn't have any food. But if they did bite him, they could injure him, and it would make it difficult for him to climb a tree. And a leopard that can't climb a tree can essentially be a doomed leopard. Here we go. He's going to give us a look now. Are you, Hassan? Are you going to show the boys and girls how pretty you are? He said, here's my favourite side, my left side. There it is. In a moment he's going to give us the front. Fantastic. Well, as he's starting to settle down again, he realizes the hyenas are lying down or have gone away, and his dad has finished doing whatever he was doing up in the tree. It's time again for another cat nap. But before the boys and girls go, Hosana, come, give them one little look of your face. There we go. It was not me who started my engine. Hello, beautiful sir. You are absolutely gorgeous. What a fantastic afternoon it has been so far. All of you boys and girls here on Safari Live for the third week in a row of Nat Geo Kids. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Well, Craigo, let's have another look at this beautiful guy over here, because he is very pretty. He's still busy looking at that hyena. The hyena, they're probably going to stay around for a while until it cools down enough for them to move off. but it has been fantastic that you've all been able to jump on board with us this afternoon. We hope to see you again next week. We're going to be doing this every week for Nat Geo Kids, and it's very exciting that we had such good activity this afternoon as we did last week. Thank you for joining us, and we will definitely be seeing you next week, and hopefully we can be showing you all sorts of action just like this. Remember, it's very live, and we'll see you then. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.